Good evening. Welcome to the Buck Stops here. I'm Vishnu Shom on the program this evening. Tension in Nagaland and in Assam. A day after a lynch mob of thousands of people pulled out a man accused of rape from a jail in Dimapur in Nagaland, beat him, killed him and dragged his body for 7 kilometers. The alleged rapist was from Assam. Some say he was an illegal immigrant. The army remains on standby in both Nagaland and in Assam. A curfew has been in place in Dimapur. The big question tonight was simmering tensions between the Naga community and outsiders in the state at the root of the massive law and order breakdown. Is Nagaland sitting on a potential time bomb?
A day after Farid Khan, described as an illegal immigrant from Bangladesh, was pulled out of the high-security Dimapur jail after protesters broke open the jail gate, there is a sense of disbelief about just what happened. Khan, who's accused of raping a Naga woman last month, was dragged out by a mob of more than 2,000 people. Hopelessly outnumbered, the police could do little other than fire in the air. Shooting the protesters, most of whom were students, would have resulted in a bloodbath. Farid Khan was stripped and pulled by a rope to Dimapur, 7 kilometers away. By the time he reached Dimapur, he was dead. But protesters kept dragging his body on the highway and ransacked and torched at least 20 shops in what became a free-for-all.
The protesters, in a huge number, they went to the jail. The crowd was mostly in school uniforms, so we could not directly fire upon them.
This was not straightforward vigilante justice against a man accused of rape. The underlying tension was linked to anger against illegal immigrant. Thousands of Bengali-speaking Muslims have migrated from Assam to Nagaland in search of jobs. Many say they are now a vulnerable community. The Nagaland Chief Minister, who was in Delhi, rushed back to hold a cabinet meeting. A probe has been ordered and the big question is, just how did the state intelligence machinery fail to understand the extent of public anger at this incident, which had been simmering for weeks?
The inquiry committee will investigate the matter. The government will take action on the hearing of if there is any lapse on the part of the administration or the police.
Dimapur continues to be shell-shocked, even as the curfew is on and tension remains palpable. The lynching of the rape accused on the pretext of he being an illegal migrant has once again spurred up the contentious local versus migrant issue, which occasionally flares up in Northeast India. With camera person Sanjay Chakravarti, Urmi Bhattacharjee for NDTV.
Well, the situation in Dimapur, parts of Nagaland and also parts of Assam is extremely tense. This was not a one-off incident that can just be forgotten. The ramifications of this across the region are absolutely huge. Sudhiranjan Sen has been tracking those developments and joins us now, and we'll be joined by NDTV's Urmi Bhattacharjee from Dimapur in a few moments. Sudhiranjan, the army is on standby, I am told, in both Assam and Nagaland as well. Is that correct?
Well, yes, Vishnu, both places, the 4 corps in Assam and the 3 corps in Nagaland has been put on alert. They've been told that they must be ready to go out and help the state government maintain law and order whenever it is required of them. The big issue is after this man was killed, this alleged rapist was killed, in areas like Karimganj, Barpeta, Naga, Bongaigaon, which is a large minority community. There were signs of tension building up. In fact, in Karimganj, from where this boy comes, there was a roadblock that was done. Of course, that was today that was handled and it was peaceful. But basically, the situation in Nagaland and in Assam, although under control, is quite edgy. And the ministry out here and the government basically keeping its fingers crossed, hoping that there is no other incident which could lead up or lead to another flare-up. And also as a measure, they are discouraging Nagas from travelling into Assam, because very many times you need to travel into Assam and then cut back into Nagaland. They're discouraging that, fearing that Nagas could be attacked in Assam. Vigil on the Nagaland-Assam border is up, and there is a close watch that is being kept. Vishnu.
Right. We can also go across to Urmimala, who joins us now from Dimapur. Just give me from this. Give me an idea, Urmi, of what is the situation on the ground at the moment. All right, we seem to have lost the line over there with Urmi. We'll try and get back to her in just a few moments from now. Sudhiranjan, any further concerns from the centre at this stage? Are they, for example, thinking of bringing in more police, a greater police presence in parts of Nagaland as we speak right now?
Well, yesterday after the incident happened, the Nagaland government did ask for more paramilitary forces. Some have been provided. As of now, what we understand by speaking to people in Nagaland and in the Ministry of Home Affairs, there seems to be enough boots on the ground, enough paramilitary, enough policemen that police are there. Also, the army has been kept on a standby. And also as a measure, again as a measure of ensuring that there is peace, they are not allowing the body of this boy to go back to Karimganj. He will his last rites will take place in Nagaland, and they do not want anything in the areas of Karimganj, Barpeta, Bongaigaon to flare up, which is why they have said the body cannot come back. It will be cremated. The last rites will happen in Nagaland. So basically a very close watch being kept, and also fingers crossed, hoping that it doesn't, there is no other incident that can lead to another flare up. Vishnu.
Sudhiranjan, thanks very much for joining us. I'm just going to bring in our panel at this stage to look at this situation, which is a very, very tense situation in parts of Nagaland and also parts of Assam. As Sudhiranjan was explaining over there, the army on standby, additional forces of police also on standby in the region. Joining us to look at all of this, Bina Lakshmi Nepram. Thank you very much, Bina, for being with us this evening. Chumbembo M. Patton is a former student leader. He's a Naga student leader. He's been in Delhi. He's following these developments on the ground very closely. And Linda Nemai is with the BJP. She was with the Delhi State Executive Committee of the BJP over here. Bina, let me come to you first. If we look at rape and rape instances in Nagaland, the numbers are actually quite shocking. And across the region, the numbers have been very, very high.
Absolutely.
Now, but in this particular instance, there are two different aspects of the situation. There is the incidence of rape, and there are also this horrific breakdown of law and order.
Absolutely.
And I think both need to be condemned.
Absolutely. We have been extremely, as I said, the northeast of India, sexual violence of women in conflict zone in India has not been addressed topic for decades. So this is one thing which is like a power cake sitting out there. And the other thing is the whole issue of mob justice, in which the very tragic killing. This is both these incidents, as I've been publicly saying, as both condemnable. We, the women of the Northeast, completely shocked by these incidents, and it's a very tragic time and a very sensitive time in India's Northeast right now at this particular moment. And at this moment, as I said, even after Nirbhaya died also, we tried to get the Justice Verma Committee to look into the issue of the rise of violence against women, sexual violence against women, because this is an area where 72 armed groups operate, where 3 lakh Indian battalions of the Indian Armed Forces operate. This is an area which is highly volatile with 272 ethnic groups. But this is an area where a lot of tensions have been trying to create ethnic tension, communal tension. We are saying that we must totally, at this moment, the government of India, government of Nagaland are responsible to contain this situation, and don't put this blame game and make it not a communal tension that some people are trying to make out to be.
Chumbembo, what is the underlying concern over here? Is it the Naga community, which by itself is not one unified community? There are different parts of the Naga community. It doesn't necessarily all speak together, versus outsiders in the state. Is that the underlying worry?
Here, let me speak the fact, and that is National Crime Control Board statistics of 2012 shows that Nagaland is the safest place for women in the whole nation, the whole country. And rape is something very foreign to the Naga traditions and customs. So, incidents like this happening in Nagaland, for us, it is very, very, very shocking, and it is something which is unacceptable. So, here we are not against any community, nobody, but the act of rape, which is not acceptable.
So are you trying to say that it was because rape, as according to what you are telling us, is relatively rare in Nagaland compared to other parts of the country, that this resulted in thousands of people actually being mobilized to storm into a jail, pull out this man and lynch him? Was there not a more major social upheaval simmering in Naga society which caused this to happen? Nagas versus outsiders.
Yeah, here I would like to draw your attention to what Nirbhaya's mother had to say just some few days back, when she said that these rapists, they are not tried as they have to be tried, and then for 19 years...
You're not answering my question.
No, I'm coming to the point. For 19 years...
We will certainly talk about
these cases go on.
We will certainly talk about rape in the northeast, in Nagaland, and these allegations.
Yeah.
It goes without saying. I am trying to ask you a larger issue over here.
Yeah.
Was this, are we discussing a rape, or are we discussing violence which took place in Nagaland because of several other reasons as well?
Yes, several other reasons, because crime against women is on the rise, and let me tell you very frankly, this is the accumulated breaking point. Like the saying goes, even the end will turn. So
accumulated breaking point of what? I just want to ask Linda that question. Linda, accumulated breaking point is what his words are. An accumulated breaking point of what? What are the factors which resulted in that mob breaking down that jail, pulling out this man, brutally murdering him and dragging his body for 7 kilometers?
No, I will not say it is a planned thing. I cannot say about when a mob is,
mob mentality.
Mentality is. So when they gather in such a big number, so no one will listen to what the other is saying also. Everyone will try to act out what is in his mind. And it as you were saying, like there are so many other points which the students, leaders, and then the other public, Naga public are flare up kind of because of the rape cases. It rarely happen. I should say it never happened. I mean, maybe just few times, countable in my lifetime. I can say because...
In 2013, there were 31 rape cases which were reported according to the national crime. That by itself is relatively small, including in the northeast, Manipur 72, Meghalaya 183, Mizoram 89. So the numbers are small. But there have been some very shocking cases, including lynchings, which have also taken place last year in September.
Yes, just
in
recently.
Nagaland.
So I will talk about my Nagaland. So Naga people cannot tolerate a rapist. That is very a big stand, a strong stand. Because in my school days also, I remember in my back home state, back hometown, there was one rape case, and which rarely happened. In my lifetime, that was the first time. So that man was being paraded naked with a face blackened, same off, beaten up. So this thing is our, intolerance of a rapist. So that's why...
she makes an important point. There have been 3 instances in the recent past, one in Assam and 2 in Nagaland, of vigilante justice which have taken place.
Absolutely.
Do you see this particular instance to be vigilante justice alone, or do you believe that there were underlying factors which go beyond this particular rape incident?
It's both. It's both. The reason is, as Linda said, that in the entire Northeast, violence against women is there. As I said, we are a very egalitarian society, but because of 60 years of conflict, militarization and weaponization, a lot of, if violence against women happens almost like 3 times more there because of the heavy presence of conflict there. But the thing is, as she said, in the Northeast, rapists have been shot dead by militant groups. Drug addicts have been shot dead by militant groups. Maira Paibis have burned rapist houses down in my home state, Manipur. So communities have not accepted that a rape is a part of society and justice system because it doesn't really deliver. The other thing which you've been asking it is, yes, definitely, in the entire Northeast, because it's an extremely fertile area, extremely resource rich. There have been massive migrations going on in the region. This is a source of concern in Nagaland. This is a source of concern in Manipur. This is a source of concern in Arunachal and Sikkim. This is something which the government of India and the state governments have to take it up on a very serious note before more cases like this happen. We are sitting on a very sensitive part of our country, which if it is not taken care of, then as you saw, we have vigilante groups, we have got mob justice. This is not going to end.
Chumemo, let me ask you this. One of the things that the government has done and is that they're preventing people from the Naga communities to actually travel to Assam today, perhaps tomorrow, until the situation becomes easier. That is because there is a concern that this could result in a larger clash between the Naga communities and others, for example, immigrants in Assam. Isn't this yet another example of how there are differences which exist? That it is not just about a Naga protest against rape, it's also about underlying tensions between those who are Naga and those who are not Naga?
If I'm given a minute and a half, Vishnu, I would like to dwell on the previous point that I was making, that here we saw this reaction from the people because rape is something which is foreign, like I say, to the state. And when something like this happens, so many times we have been assured by the judiciary systems that, okay, I mean, justice will be delivered, justice will be delivered. It's never delivered. So, so here you can see that this time they could not take it, that something which is so foreign, which doesn't happen in our state, happened. I mean, time and again we have been given assurance, but nothing happened. So it's a wake-up call to the whole judiciary system of the country as well, that if in case you guys don't do your job, then we have these things to face.
But you see, I'll tell you where you're contradicting yourself. On the one hand, you pointed out when you started this program that there are just a handful of rape cases which have actually taken place in Nagaland. Statistically, that is correct.
Yeah.
On the other hand, you are saying that there is this pent-up anger on rape cases, which is why this attack on this jail happened.
Yeah. So there
are not that many cases of rape. Then what was the pent-up factor?
I mean, here is exactly why I was bringing the Nirbhaya case as well, because now that the social medias are real active, we get the informations of all these crimes against women going on in the whole country.
Yeah, so I think, let's be very clear. The rape of this young Naga girl happened on 23rd February. This is a fact which our friends from Nagaland have taken.
Yes.
That is wrong, condemnable. It's a heinous crime which, a rape happens in India every 22 minutes, condemned. The other thing is, how do you deliver this justice with 100,000 pending rape cases? What he's saying is, but it still doesn't behove a lynching of a rapist
of course.
in a country like ours. That is totally condemnable.
I don't endorse it.
Absolutely. This is to be very clear. And at the same time, the entire issue of Northeast is, right now a rape case happened, a tragedy happened in which the culprit is lynched. Why should the army be called in to deal with this situation? This is the mistake.
Not been called in as yet.
Absolutely, but
let's hope that it doesn't come down to that.
For rape, for addressing an issue, an aftermath of a rape and a lynching, why should the army be called? So I think we are at this juncture in our country where serious debate has to happen on the issue of, first, sexual violence of women in conflict zones, which have not been addressed. Secondly, the whole issue of how the Northeast population have been feeling completely insecure, besides the going war, but the influx of people from the different neighboring countries and the states has been a major concern. I think it's very important for the governments in the state and the center to really look into this address. Otherwise, any small flare-ups, for example, I was talking to Linda, it is not the first time that a man who has been raped a woman has been lynched. It happened a few years back to a Manipuri guy who was actually publicly executed according to her. So this is not a communal way of addressing. Let's not take it like that. But yes, Naga communities, very proud nation, group of people have not tolerated rape. At the same time, Naga community is a deeply, deeply patriarchal society. We still don't have a single Naga woman in the Nagaland Peace in the Assembly. So there are these issues which needs addressing on a larger level.
Linda, let me ask you this, since we are running short of time. I think it's quite clear more than anything else that the breakdown in law and order and in the system in Dimapur was horrific. This was a police force which had no intelligence, This was a police force that didn't know that there were simmering tensions. This didn't happen over a few hours. This happened over many days. This was an out-and-out failure of the state administration, perhaps the biggest we have seen in India in recent times. 4,000 people breaking into a jail, pulling out this one man, dragging his body for 7 kilometers, lynching him in this manner. Where was the state in all of this?
I would, for this, I will blame the jail authority, the jailer. When the jail break is happening with such a big mob, why he didn't exercise his power?
They couldn't open fire because there were students who were part of the protesters. It would have been a bloodbath.
And he should inform his.
There was no intelligence of the police. There was no former intel. They didn't know this was happening. They didn't feel the pulse of people on the ground. Is this what has really caused this to happen?
So this is unexpected thing. How this time it had happened, because this time, as you know, social media is also playing very big role. And then the educated young people, they are more, you know, cannot tolerate and wait for the authority, for the system.
Is that how
for
this
the
spread?
system?
There
so
were
maybe
rumors which spread.
It spreads more.
It went on social
faster.
media. It spread through word of mouth that a rape has happened. Let us all assemble. And then let us carry out this.
Yeah, maybe through other means also. But on this, trying to spread this case with the Assam and then communal thing coming out, I would like to say this: some few vested interests are trying to spread and ignite the communal tension about this on religion ground. I can assure you, whatever have happened, though I am not justifying or endorse a mob thing, but what they have done is on the reason of, you know, punishing a rapist, not as a Muslim, as a Christian or a Hindu or outsider.
And here,
very briefly,
one very interesting point is that I had spoken to the Muslim Council Dimapur executive personally this evening, and they themselves have confirmed that nothing ethnic. This is just a case where somebody who's a rapist was, you know, like lynched. Or else no communal color, except for some elements on the social media who are
trying to paint it with a brush.
Trying to paint.
All right, look, one way or the other, there's been a horrific breakdown of the law and order situation over there. It's very, very tense. There are prohibitory orders which are still in place in Dimapur. The border between Nagaland and Assam is tense. The army is on standby in both parts, in Assam and in Nagaland. This has been a horrific incident, an incident of rape and also an incident of a complete breakdown in law and order. It is unimaginable that this kind of vigilante justice would exist in this scale in any part of India.